Hi, I'm Aiman. Welcome back to my videos. This is another video in a series of videos detailing our journey on raising our chickens. Now, if you're new to this channel, you should check out my previous videos on raising our chicks. We actually got them from a hatchery, and we've raised them all the way from babies to what they are right now, which is, I guess, teenage chicks or pullets. But right now, we're going to do an update video. It's about the 4th week of raising them, and we can't bring them out here right now because it's raining. But today, we're going to show you what they're going to be moving into soon because they're starting to grow up really big and the basement's not going to be the right space for them. We're going to put them in a coop. Now, like I said, if you're new to this channel, this place right here is actually our old playground. My dad built this entire thing based off schematics that he found at some store, and he actually added that 3rd deck up there. That is for Bella. And if you don't know, Bella is our cat. So what's going to happen is that when we move our chickens here, Bella's going to be up there guarding them. Now then, let's get to the tour of the coop. Alright, so in my previous video, we sort of gave you a rundown of what the plan was for the coop. And today we're going to go over each feature of the coop that we decided to implement. Now the thing is, we didn't build this with plans. And you really can't build it with plans because this is built into our playground. Which, also, you don't really build a coop into a playground, but, and some people might say that's a disadvantage. You don't really have like a guideline on what to build, but I say that's actually an advantage because it gives us sort of a creative license over what to implement. And first off, we'll start on this side of the coop and then go around, and I'll show you each of the features. So behind me, or in front of me, I guess, we have these doors. So obviously inside of this area, our chickens are going to be hanging out. But in this area, we're going to be placing our feeder and our water fountain. And we're also going to do a separate video on the feeder and water fountain, so go check those out. But right now, the plan is to have this as sort of a double doors so that we can open these up, take the feeders and water fountains and replace whatever needs to be replaced, water or the food. And as you can see here, we put hinges on them so that they work pretty nicely, pretty smoothly. No lubrication needed. And eventually, instead of having these little blocks of wood, what we're going to do is going to add locks. And this is going to be very important, especially for very smart wildlife creatures that might want to attack our chickens. If it's like a simple block of wood like this, they could probably figure out a way to open these doors and get to our chickens. So we want to make sure that they're safe and secure. I guess I should also mention, for those who are not veterans to my channel, you might not know exactly what the space under the playground was used for. This used to be a sandbox. And since it's really small now, and all of my siblings are really big, can't really use it. So it's probably best to use it for a coop. And also I should mention, since we're probably not going to be on this side, we also have this screen right here. This isn't actually the screen that my dad wants to use. He wants to use a different one, but first I should explain. This one is 23 gauge wire, and it's 1/4 inch thick gaps, and I think it's called hardware cloth. And I'll explain, we actually have the spool of wire on the other side, which we'll get to later. Well, I'll explain more about the screen when we get to that side. Now over here, we have a sort of a gateway, and this is going to allow us to get into the coop when we need to clean it out. And now mentioning cleaning out, you guys, some people might be wondering why we have these this wood edging right here. And the reason why is so that I can keep in the bedding. And bedding is sort of like straw or wood chips that are placed on the floor of the coop so that they don't just sit on the hard concrete. And often that bedding is going to get dirty, so what we have to do is we need to sweep it out. So what's important is that we're able to remove this this edging so that we're able to sweep it out. And that's exactly what this door is used for. We're supposed to be able to knock this section out so that we can access the bedding and be able to sweep it out entirely. Alright, so just to clarify, I know I rambled, but basically we're going to remove this part so that we can sweep out all of the bedding when it gets dirty. Now some people might be wondering what the material is on the bottom here of the floor, and I mentioned it earlier, but this is concrete. And some people might be asking, why do you have concrete on the floor of a coop? And it's very simple. I also mentioned it earlier. It's wildlife animals. Now, if you've watched some of my previous videos, you know that there are a lot of wildlife animals in my backyard that are able to dig under fences and such. Like, for example, we have gophers and groundhogs. So it's very important that we place something under the chickens to make sure that wildlife like raccoons especially can't dig under and get to them, because raccoons are really smart. They could pick locks. I've seen videos of that. So they could probably just get under it and get to the chickens. So it's very important that we make sure that the bottom of them is safe and secure. And I've seen some other people, they place netting in the floor of the coop, but still some animals get through the netting. So that's why we have concrete. I also mentioned in my previous videos that we're going to be using the entirety of the bottom side of the playground for a coop. And that also includes the section that you can't see behind here that we're also going to go around. We'll show you later. But for now, because we can't spend too much time, because we need to move the chickens into this as soon as possible, we're going to use only this section of the playground. Now, some of you might be wondering in the back here, oh, also, we have the feeder and the water fountain right there, and we're going to do a video on it later. Just thought I mentioned it. Also have this block here. Now we're going to replace with a lock. And over here, this is the very important part. This is going to be the future nesting area for our chickens. And let me just show you. So right here is where all of our chickens are going to nest. And eventually it's going to be the place where in a few months, or maybe years, probably not years, but in a few months, we're going to be harvesting the eggs from here. Why don't you take a look? So, one thing about this is that my dad designed this, and you know, to be honest, I think it's a pretty good design. Like, in my opinion, I can't find anything wrong with it. But my mom is a consumer, and to her, the lid is a bit too heavy. So the plan is to sort of either split this into two lids so that we can, so it's not too heavy, or I guess that's the only plan that we have right now. And another thing that we need to make sure is that it stays up, because right now you can see that the lid doesn't stay up. So we're probably going to have to put some string here that keeps it up, or we're going to put some kind of latch. But in the end, we should have a pretty nice nesting area, and I think this is probably the best part of the design. And now we're going to move away from the coop. Actually, we still kind of need to talk about the coop, because right now we're going to be talking about the run. If you don't know, a run is basically the outside area where the chickens hang out and they peck at the ground and the grass. But first off, we need to figure out how they actually access the run. The run section is going to be right here under the slide, sort of actually in this sort of general area right here. And I'll get to the cool stuff real quick. But in order for those chickens to get to the run, they need to be able to access it from the coop. So what we're going to do is we have a sort of a plan for a sliding door to allow the chickens to get from the coop, and they're gonna go through a fenced-in area, and then they're gonna get to this section where they can access the run. Oh, and it's also really cool because if you lift open this latch or this lid, wait, actually, never mind. I thought it would be safe, but you can see that if you open the latch, you can actually access the sliding door from this side. So you're able to access that sliding door easily if you want the chickens to come out. And you know what? That's pretty cool. So the fact that my dad designed that, I guess you can really see where my engineering skill comes from. And talking more about the run, if you don't know, a run definitely needs to be fenced in, unless you're raising your chickens open range. But basically, we're going to have sort of some fencing, at least 2 to 3 feet tall, around this area to keep the chickens in. We're probably, I don't know exactly what we're going to do with the ground yet. Maybe we're going to plant some grass, maybe we're going to leave it dirt, but we'll see. But over here, you can see, if you're a veteran viewer of my channel, you might see this rope bridge. And this is a funny story behind it, because it used to be blocking the area of the run that we want to use. And when we found out that about that problem, my first thought was to get rid of it, because you know, everyone in our family is sort of they're grown up, so they're not going to be really using this bridge. Actually, I think the only person in our family who uses this bridge is my dad, and he uses it to get to Bella all the way up there. So in my opinion, I thought we should just get rid of it, put it in storage, and then my mom just said entirely just get rid of it. But what my dad did was he said for sentimental reasons we should keep it, especially when my siblings have kids, because then the kids can use the rope bridge. So before, it used to be in some sort of wood that was buried in the ground. But now what we did was we took the rope bridge, we raised it a bit, and we stuck it to the tree, and we stuck it to this post that is secured with concrete. So what we can do is we can take a ladder, climb up to it, and use it whenever we want. You know, sentimentality is a very big part of our family. We even kept our old oven, even though we didn't need it, and we could have gotten rid of it. They even asked us if they want to take it. But anyway, moving on to here. I mentioned earlier that it's not just that side of the playground that we're going to use. We're also going to use this side of the playground. And actually, in the future, this will be the main part of the coop. We're going to add some sort of awning over here, and we're going to make a huge coop for the chickens to, I guess, be raised in. And the plan is to sort of, wall everything off. Yeah, so the plan is going to be walling this section off, and I guess just turning it into a coop. But over here, what we're gonna have is we're gonna wall this up, and we're gonna turn this place into shelving, so that we're gonna be able to use it in conjunction with the coop to raise the chickens. For example, we might need to place bags of seed here, or bags of straw, or bedding. Now over here, I mentioned earlier about the screen. Right here we have the hardware cloth that we have right now. And this is good and all, but what my dad is looking for is something that's a bit more heavy duty than this, and a bit more, the gaps are a bit more wide than this. He's actually looking for something more like what we already use for protecting our trees. Now, the gaps between this are 2 to 4 inches, 2 inches by 4 inches. What he's looking for is 1 inch by 1 inch. But mainly he's looking for the same thickness of wire. This is way thicker than this is. So hopefully soon we should be able to get some screen that's a bit more heavy duty than this. Okay, so let's go on the other side and recap. I guess also, if you guys are concerned about it being wet from the top, we also have some foam insulation just wedged in the middle of these planks to, I guess, safeguard against the rain coming down. But also keep in mind that there's a roof on top of Bella's, I guess, den. So I guess most of that should protect from the rain. And sometimes you gotta accept that there is always the possibility of rain getting in there. So we just tried to safeguard against it as best as we could. But anyway, let's recap. First we have the doors. We already have these hinges on top, and we're gonna add locks to them to make sure that they are protected against any very intelligent wildlife. We have the bedding here that is safeguarded, that is kept in by this edging here. And this edging is gonna be removable so that we can sweep it out. We have this nesting area with a lid, with a very coolly designed lid, where you can reach in to grab eggs, or you can move the sliding door. And the sliding door leads out to the front, which is gonna have fencing around it, so that the chickens can hang around and peck at the ground. And we also moved our rope bridge to the top on that post. And I guess that's it. We're going to be doing a few more updates on the coop, especially as we get to the other side of the coop, because that's going to be a huge task to handle, and I hope to see you there. But for now, it's getting dark, so we got to get inside, and there's a ton of mosquitoes, so I don't feel too safe. But I'm Aiman, and thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and look at other videos on EyeOnAiman, especially the videos in our series of raising our chickens from the hatchery to henhood. And I'll see you in those videos. But for now, signing out. Peace.